Welcome to What Is. It's a channel where we ask the important what is questions. And today's question, what is the journey of a plastic bottle? We're going to take a closer look at the journey of a plastic bottle. It's an object so common, so ubiquitous in our daily lives, that most of us barely give it a second thought. Yet, you might be profoundly surprised to learn just how these seemingly simple objects can have a significant, far-reaching impact on our environment, our ecosystems, and even our own health. Understanding their complete journey from the moment they are conceived in a factory through their brief period of utility to their ultimate destination can and should help us make more informed, responsible, and sustainable choices about how we use and dispose of plastic bottles. Join us as we unravel this fascinating, yet often troubling story. The beginning, production. The journey of a plastic bottle begins not with its familiar shape on a supermarket shelf, but deep within the earth, extracted as crude oil and natural gas. These are the primary raw materials from which plastic bottles are born. Specifically, most plastic bottles are made from a type of plastic known as polyethylene terephthalate, or PET. The production process for PET is a complex and resource-intensive endeavor. It starts with the extraction of these fossil fuels, which are then transported to refineries. There, through a process called fractional distillation, they are separated into various components. A light petroleum distillate is then subjected to a process called cracking to produce ethylene and peroxylene, key building blocks for PET. These chemicals are further processed and polymerized, meaning they're small. Molecular units are linked together to form long chains, resulting in PET resin pellets. Once these tiny clear pellets are ready, they are transported to manufacturing plants. Here, they are melted down at high temperatures, transformed into a molten liquid. This liquid plastic is then precisely molded into the familiar bottle shape using either injection molding or blow molding techniques. Injection molding creates a preform, a test tube-like shape, which is then heated and blown into the final bottle mold. Moreover, the refining and manufacturing processes can release various pollutants into the air and water, impacting local ecosystems and human health. This entire manufacturing chain, from extraction to final molding, demands an enormous amount of energy. The vast majority of this energy comes from burning fossil fuels, which directly contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, a primary driver of climate change. The production of plastic also requires significant water resources, often in regions already facing water scarcity. So, even before a single drop of water or soda fills it, a plastic bottle has already left a substantial environmental footprint. It's a footprint of energy consumption, chemical transformation, and resource depletion, setting the stage for its subsequent environmental impact. The middle, usage. Once a plastic bottle is produced and cooled, it embarks on the next phase of its journey, its practical purpose. It is then filled with a diverse array of beverages or household products, sealed, labeled, and shipped to warehouses, distribution centers, and ultimately, retail stores for purchase by consumers like us. Think about the sheer variety: bottled water, flavored sodas, juices, milk, cooking oils, household cleaners, detergents, and even personal care products like shampoo and conditioner. Their lightweight, durable, and shatterproof nature makes them incredibly convenient for packaging, transport, and everyday use. The average lifespan of a plastic bottle's usage is remarkably, even alarmingly, short. Consider a single-use water bottle. It's opened, consumed, and often discarded within a matter of minutes or hours. For other products, it might be a few days or weeks until the contents are depleted. This characteristic of single-use or short-term use plastics is central to the problem they pose. The convenience they offer is undeniable in our fast-paced lives, making them a popular choice for on-the-go consumption, events, and everyday household necessities. While some conscientious individuals might choose to reuse their plastic bottles, perhaps refilling a water bottle for a gym session or using a detergent bottle for storage. This practice, unfortunately, is not yet a common or widespread habit among the general population. The design of many Sinji's plastic bottles isn't inherently optimized for repeated long-term reuse, and the perceived low cost makes discarding them seem like an easy option. This brief period of utility stands in stark contrast to the incredibly long time it takes for plastic to break down in the environment, a discrepancy that forms the core of the global plastic pollution crisis. The convenience of their use often overshadows the long-term consequences of their disposal. The end. Disposal. The journey takes a critical turn when a plastic bottle is discarded. For far too many of these bottles, this means ending up in a landfill. Landfills are vast, designated areas of land where waste is systematically buried, often compacted and then covered with layers of soil and other materials. The idea is to contain the waste and allow it to decompose over time. However, this is where the inherent nature of plastic becomes a significant environmental challenge. Unlike organic materials such as food, scraps, or paper, which can biodegrade relatively quickly through natural processes and microbial action, plastic bottles do not biodegrade in any meaningful time frame. Instead, they are photodegraded by sunlight or mechanically broken down into progressively smaller and smaller pieces. This process doesn't eliminate the plastic. It merely creates what are known as microplastics. These tiny plastic fragments, less than 5 millimeters in size, are insidious. They can easily leach into the surrounding environment, contaminating not only the soil within and around landfills, but also groundwater sources, rivers, and ultimately, our oceans. The consequences of this contamination are severe and multifaceted. Microplastics act like sponges, absorbing toxins from the environment, and once ingested, they can release these chemicals into living organisms. They have been found in every corner of the planet, from the highest mountains to the deepest ocean trenches. They enter the food chain, consumed by everything from tiny plankton to large marine mammals, and have now been detected in seafood, tap water, bottled water, and even in the air we breathe. This poses significant risks to wildlife, causing blockages in digestive systems, releasing harmful compounds, and impacting reproductive health. For human health, the long-term effects of microplastic ingestion and inhalation are still being studied, but growing evidence suggests potential links to inflammation, oxidative stress, and disruption of endocrine systems. Beyond microplastics, landfills themselves consume vast amounts of land, contribute to greenhouse gas emissions through methane from organic waste. They can produce toxic leachate that contaminates soil and water for decades, if not centuries. The end of the plastic bottle in a landfill is far from an actual end. It's the beginning of a much longer, more insidious problem. Beyond the end, recycling. Fortunately, there is a much more responsible and sustainable alternative to simply throwing plastic bottles away. Recycling offers a second life for these materials, diverting them from landfills and reducing the demand for new virgin plastic production. The recycling process for PET bottles involves several key stages, each crucial for transforming waste into valuable resources. It begins with collection. Once consumers place their plastic bottles into designated recycling bins, these materials are collected and transported to a materials recovery facility, or MRF. At the MRF, the bottles are sorted, often mechanically and sometimes by hand, to separate them from other recyclables and contaminants. A critical part of this sorting process is identifying the type of plastic, ensuring only PET bottles are processed together, as different plastics have different melting points and chemical compositions. After sorting, the bottles are thoroughly cleaned to remove any residues, labels, and caps. This step is vital to ensure the purity of the recycled material. Next, the clean bottles are shredded into small flakes. These flakes are then washed again and dried, further enhancing their quality. Finally, these flakes are melted down and extruded into new pellets. These recycled PETs, or rPET pellets, are now ready for manufacturing new products. The benefits of recycling plastic bottles are substantial and far-reaching. Firstly, it drastically reduces the amount of waste sent to landfills, alleviating the pressure on these finite spaces. Secondly, it conserves valuable resources. Manufacturing new plastic from recycled material requires significantly less energy, often 60 to 70% less than producing it from virgin crude oil and natural gas. This directly translates to lower greenhouse gas emissions and a reduced carbon footprint. Furthermore, it lessens our reliance on non-renewable fossil fuels, contributing to a more circular economy where resources are kept in use for as long as possible. Recycled plastic can be transformed into an astonishing array of new products. While it can be used to create new plastic bottles, it's also commonly downcycled into items like polyester fibers for clothing, carpets, insulation, strapping, durable furniture, automotive parts, and even playground equipment. By choosing to recycle, we empower a process that protects our environment, conserves resources, and supports a more sustainable future. Conclusion. Our role in conclusion, the journey of a plastic bottle is far more complex and impactful than its seemingly innocent appearance suggests. From its energy-intensive birth out of fossil fuels, through its fleeting moment of utility, to its potentially centuries-long existence as polluting microplastic, its journey has significant environmental implications at every turn. By truly understanding this journey, the resources consumed, the pollution generated, and the potential for a better outcome, we are empowered to make more informed and responsible choices about how we interact with plastic bottles. We earnestly encourage each one of you to embrace the principles of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce your consumption of single-use plastics whenever possible, choose reusable alternatives, and whenever you do use plastic bottles, please ensure you reuse them as many times as you safely can, and then recycle them correctly when they've reached the end of their functional life. Thank you for taking the time to watch and learn about this critical topic. Please help us amplify this message by sharing this video to help spread awareness about the profound importance of responsible plastic consumption and waste management. If you found this video insightful and helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. It truly helps our channel grow. And if you're passionate about understanding the world around us and how we can make a positive difference, consider subscribing to our channel for more informative and engaging content like this. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our future uploads. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.